mean, so to be fair, and something that actually has been on my mind for like the past 2 weeks is like anger. Anger has been something like I'm very in touch with my emotions, but anger is just one of those emotions that makes me uncomfortable.
Yes. Yeah.
Like I don't enjoy being angry, but I also have to recognize and process my anger because if I don't, then I'm a walking time bomb.
Yeah, yeah.
Because then it's like when someone does trigger that anger with me, they get all of it. So, in order to save myself and the world, I really need to get in touch with that. And I think one of the things that I'm realizing is that anger, that emotion, to transmute that and make it a useful emotion is to talk about the things that make us angry and how we can be part of the change in that transformation for whatever makes us angry.
Agree. I
What?
agree. No, I agree. Mindfulness.
Yeah, being mindful of our emotions, what makes us angry, what in society needs to change. And you're an Aquarius, so you especially have one of those duties naturally to. I always look at Aquarius as the aliens, but aliens have this like the futuristic technology, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's funny that you say that though, because I've thought of myself in that way as an alien, just slightly different in a way from other people that you don't really get used to until you get a little bit older. And you're like, okay, I welcome the difference. Pure concentration. Thought is energy. Active thought is active energy. Concentrated thought is concentrated energy. Thought concentrated on a definite purpose becomes power. Awareness comes from the purity of concentration. This enables you to honor the rising and falling of things without getting caught in the downward spiral of destructive emotions. Consciously focus on where your mind is in relation to what reality is. Purity card.
And we're what anger, destructive emotions,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, about transmuting that energy and turning that destructive emotion into something empowering, purifying destructive emotions.
There you go. Look at you. You're a wizard. All right. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. You can keep going.
The card that I got is pure mindfulness. Mindfulness is the miracle by which we master and restore ourselves. With mindfulness comes the awareness that what has happened in the past is only memory and that what is going to happen in the future is but a form of fantasy. Be still and open to the most precious moments that life presents to you. All the opportunities and blessings to be found are unfolding for you in the now. And one of the things that I think I said it on here before is what we say, where we are right now is because of the actions and the words that we have manifested in the past. But what we say in the present is what creates our future. And the actions we take presently are what is going to manifest in our future.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think the first time you may have said that it was hard for me to follow along, but this time I got it. I'm like listening slowly and absorbing it. I got it.
Whoops, sorry.
All right. I guess as people can tell, we will be talking about mindfulness. So, welcome back to the Awakened Avoidant with myself, Sean Brockington, and Miss Crystal Renee, your favorite Crystal. Today's episode is episode 24. We bring to you another deposit on the journey towards generational health. And today we will be talking about the role of mindfulness in personal transformation.
I love
Full
that.
stop.
The deposit. Yeah. The deposit in ourselves because we need to think about ourselves as our own investment. So it's like all the things that we do to nurture ourselves. And I feel like a lot of the times we're prescribing to investing in toxic things. Even when people think about like colors and color therapy, and color manipulation, because even as we look at those snacks over there, there are different colors to entice us in different parts of our brain. So when we realize that we are getting manipulated through to like unhealthy things through advertisement, we also need to realize that we can use that as a tool to manipulate ourselves in a healthy way. I was actually watching someone I was in a TikTok live this morning watching this person who he will often talk about himself as bipolar, which is very fair because I watch his energy. Just, he will also currently speak about how someone can trigger him and he will be yelling at everyone on the live in an unhealthy way and then not remembering, which is, we can talk about it another time. But what I realized is when he is wearing all white or is wearing all gray, he is the most radiant, his energy is just so vibrant and magnetizing and warm and loving and calm and peaceful. And whenever he wears a little bit of red, there it is very war. His energy is very warlike. But he was then, because I brought it up, because he was trying to navigate through his rising and falling of his emotions. So I did bring it up in the chat, and he noticed it and recognized it and said it out loud. Then I guess, I don't think he was trying to be defensive, but was explaining why he had the different colors based on the deities that he worked with. But what I was like, I can't get into this. I got things to do. I had to be here. So, and so I was like, I'm not going to dive into that. But what I realized and what I was thinking about is not everything, if you are trying to be a replication of someone else, you're not doing what is best for you. There's a book that I recently just bought in the past 2 weeks that's called Eat for Your Blood Type. So we need, with all of these diet trends, people are trying to eat outside of what is best for them. So when you eat for your own personal blood type, you are then harmonizing your body instead of trying to mimic what is best for someone else. A diet that worked for someone else may not work for you because you probably should be eating different foods. And that's the same thing. If he's trying to mimic what somebody else is wearing and the colors that they're wearing, that may not be good for him. When I wear red, I notice I have more fire in my birth chart. So when I wear red, it gives me an imbalance of the fire that is already within me. And sometimes I'm okay with it, depending. But I also realize when I bartend, I probably, other than wearing lipstick, I probably should tone it down because then I'm a little too honest with guests or management.
Do you
And
stick around for the fire podcast? I mean, the fire lives?
what do you mean?
When the fella's dressed in red, are you like there for it? Or do you
Sometimes
just like back out like it?
yeah, well, I'll sit there and I'll observe. And sometimes when it gets out of hand, I'm like, you have to be careful because I don't want that energy to transfer into me.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to. So I'll do a quick. I make my own Florida water, and I will just like put that over myself and keep it moving. Especially if he is speaking to people when I know that they don't deserve it, kind of hurts my own feelings for that person.
Yeah.
So that's another thing too. So I have to be careful. And then sometimes when I stay and I will watch him catch himself, it is interesting to see those interactions or see how other people will react, and not in like a comedy way, but in a, oh, you know what? It was cool to see him navigate through that. And you know what? If I'm ever in that position, I'm going to take a mental snapshot and be like, that was a healthy way to react to it.
That's interesting. I can't imagine there being an audience for a verbally abusive live stream. I don't think I would participate in that at all.
1,000%. I hear you.
Click.
His spiritual wisdom is so nourishing. Even when, and that is one thing that I had to understand and really recognize, that I have to separate the two. I can watch it and take in that spiritual nourishment and that spiritual knowledge and separate the anger, because that's not mine. I understand that he's coming from an unhealthy place, but I also want that knowledge. So I'm not going to enter in the chat and put myself in the ring of fire for it to be part of it. But I'll be doing something. I'll be cleaning. I'll be doing, you know what I'm saying? And so because he'll be doing readings, and he is, I don't know, like spiritual ranking. He's on a high spiritual ranking in terms of he will talk about, he makes up his own divination, all of these other things. So I enjoy that aspect. So I realize you got to take the good with the bad. So if I want to get those nuggets, I have to
Stick around.
stick around.
Good for you. Good for you. It's funny. There's so many different ways that you go with it. It's, catch me off guard sometimes, because sometimes like I'm not dealing with that, then I will deal with that. But if there's some of that, I can deal with a little bit of that. Like, good for you. I don't have that in me at all. Even I don't even have that sort of patience for myself even. If I will acknowledge it immediately and stop it. If I feel like I'm talking down to anyone or talking to anyone in any way other than positively, because I don't believe anyone has that right at any point ever. So I would never, I just couldn't. But, good for you for being able to.
Yeah. And
For all the wisdom in the world, I couldn't listen to it.
yeah, no. And you know what? So a thing that I've been playing with is, if we're all, right? In my world, I'm the main character of my story, right? And everyone else is they're just reflections of myself and vice versa, but I'm the main character. So everyone else is a character that I've created to tell the story in my story. So in your life, you are the main character, and everyone else are characters that you created to assist you on your adventure, right? So one of the things that I've been playing with, if I'm gonna stay in that perspective, then I'll say to myself, and good or bad, right? Why did I create that character? What is the lesson that I wanted that character to teach me, or what did I want them to assist me with, or why did I create that character, based off of that?
That makes sense to me. I get that. That
Yeah.
explains a little bit of your existence in what seems like toxic states.
Well,
That
even when I
explains it.
speak about his anger, sometimes the things that he's angry about are valid things. Like he'll get easily frustrated when he gives instructions on how someone is supposed to pay for his services, or how he wants them, because he's dealing with different deities, dimensions, blah, blah, blah. He needs things to be in a specific way, in order for him to keep everything moving along. And then when they don't follow instructions, he loses his poop really quickly.
But still has a fan base.
Still has a fan base.
Interesting. I really want to see one of these lives one day. I just want to see what is going on here, like how this works out. It's very interesting to me. But can I define mindfulness real quick?
Yeah.
I don't know if this is the actual definition. This is just the one I pulled up. You can tell me if you know any more about it. But they define mindfulness as a type of meditation in which you focus on being intensely aware of what you're sensing and feeling in the moment without interpretation or judgment. That is a definition of mindfulness. I'm sure there's maybe several, but that seems to be the basis.
I guess the only thing I struggle with in that statement is the judgment part. I judge out of everything. And I think that's part of discernment. That is part of self-awareness. I like being intentional. Shadow work is not something that I just do when the moon is waning, when the moon is getting dark. That's not the only time. Shadow work for me is something that I incorporate in all senses of all things. So, in the sense of, the other day I was watching someone's live, and the woman she's talking about Mayat, and this will be a whole nother conversation, but And after she was going through the different principles, there were other people that were on her panel, and she wanted them to say Ashe after her because it made the incantation more powerful. And so there's one person that was giving that every time he put his mic on, there was feedback. So she was like, listen, she gave him instructions. She was like, I just need one person to do it because that's just too much feedback. And I realized, so the person stopped doing it for a bit, but then somebody else would join who didn't have feedback, and then he would feel like, I guess, like left out and then would do it. And then there'd be the feedback. And I'm just like, dude, can you just chill? Like, she already gave you instructions. Like, this is so annoying. I really want to hear what she's saying. And then we have to slow down. It was like a thing. And then in my head, at like maybe like a minute after hearing this, I was like, he's doing it because he wants attention and he feels left out. And then I was like, where is it that you are craving attention and you feel left out? And immediately, as I had that thought, he stopped doing it. It was just like, I don't know, it was just like so wild of seeing how that, and I noticed it and I was like, oh wow, this is so crazy of how literally the reflections and the thoughts and the waves and the energy can transfer.
You know what I think it was referring to? The judgment part. I know this because I've spent my time being angry. I think it was referring to not judging yourself for feeling that way. You know, like if you feel angry, don't judge yourself for feeling angry. That's all it meant. Or at least that's what I took from it, you know, because it's an emotion. So be okay with it,
Yes.
but acknowledge it.
Yes. Yes, I hear you. And yeah, and so now we're also giving the duality of things. And especially when it comes with words and the spells that we are casting, we have to be very intentional about, because when we look in the dictionary and we speak, the English language is a book of spells, right? So with that, when we say good morning, right? What does mourning mean? When mourning is someone sad, someone died. One, we don't die. That is a transfer of energy. Energies cannot be destroyed scientifically, correct?
Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
they
so
say.
energy cannot be destroyed. Therefore, people actually can't die. So when you hear mediums talking with dead people and that, she's communicating with that energy. But anyway,
I believe some of that, what you're describing as far as the energy of a person. Can I explain real quick
yeah.
what it means to me? I think, say, my cousin passed a long time ago, and I think that if I think about him and the thought of him makes me smile, it is that energy from him that is doing that. That's how I look at it, at least. Because what else is it, you know? Because it takes energy to fire the signals in your brain and chemicals and everything, you know, so that's energy. It came from somewhere. It came from him, for
Yeah.
me.
And yes, 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 1,000%. I agree with you, and I love it. I had a coworker that passed away on Tuesday. No, on Monday. I apologize. And Monday, I'm sitting on my deck and I'm enjoying the sun. I'm in my chair hammock, and I have an Isis Oracle deck, and it led me to want to do a meditation that was focused on the goddess Isis. So I put on the meditation and they're instructing me easing me into sleep, to dive into my subconscious mind. I fall asleep, I wake up, and there is a garden of there's a Jasmine's Garden meditation that is playing. And I was like, I don't know why, but this feels weird. And I was like, I don't know why this is ringing in my head of this Jasmine's Garden. So then there's a person on TikTok who actually, her handle is Jasmine's Garden, and I've taken a class from her. So I went to check my email. I was like, oh, maybe there is an email that Spirit's like teaching, like nudging me to go check. I was like, nope, nothing there. So then I'm going through TikTok, and there's videos on Vines on how to grow these jasmine vines on your property. And I'm thinking, I'm like, oh, when I buy a house, I want that. And I was like, and when I open my business, I want that on the interior as well. And then I get a phone call, and it is my girlfriend telling me that our coworker had just passed. So she's crying. We have a quick conversation. And I was like, all right, I have to get off the phone. I need to process this. So I go outside, like I'm already outside, but I go off of my little patio and I already have my shoes off. So I'm just like walking in the grass to ground myself. Balance is very important to me. I don't like being upset, like blah, blah, blah. So I was just like, yeah. I was like, plus I had things to do. So I was like, being sad is like really,
Yeah.
like
No. I know
not
what you
like I'm
mean.
trying to be a jerk, but like
No, I know what you
I
mean.
was like, I just don't want to be caught up in that right now.
Yeah.
I had all of these goals and plans that I was going to do with my night.
Maybe
So
later.
so I go in the grass and I am grounding myself. And outside, I keep a bowl of like peanuts and sunflower seeds for the birds, the crows, the squirrels, whoever come and get it. So as I'm about to go back inside, I turn around to put my hammock chair, close it back up, and there is if I'm not mistaken, because I looked it up, like a northeastern cardinal that goes in and dips in and pieces out. So then I go into my room and I have a mediumship deck, and I was like, you know what? Let me see if what's up with Linda, who she's the one who passed away, and out comes this card called Submission. And basically, this woman lived, like, it was just saying how she lived her life being very submissive and doing the things that society told her to do, even if it didn't make her happy. She stayed in a marriage that made her very unhappy. She would come to work early and sit in her car just so she could leave home early to be away from him. She would go home, she would spend extra time at work. Then she'd said she would stop a few times and go to the bathroom on the way home because she lived like 40 minutes away. Then she said one night she was telling me about how she sat in her car for an hour before going inside because she wanted to make sure he was asleep so she didn't have to deal with him. When she came in, he was like, so who were you effing? Blah, blah, blah. And she was like, she just stayed in her car to watch videos because she just wanted to be in peace. So this is like, and I was like, why are you staying there? She's like, I paid off, the mortgage is about to be paid off this year, and I paid for most of it. And if we get a divorce, he gets half of it. So I was like, but you got a whole, so he would get half of the house, but you got a whole unhappiness. So her message was basically, don't live your life unhappy because you think that's just what we're supposed to do. We're not here to suffer. And then afterwards, when I looked up the red cardinal, it was like someone's trying to send you a message. So Linda is already communicating literally that day of her passing. Then the next day, I had a different deck, and a card that came out was an angel, and it said daughter underneath it. And then it had like a dragonfly, and I pulled out like two more cards, and a song came on about records. And so I called my friend because she's also in some sort of communication or has access to like the woman's family, and realizing she's like, so how do you know it's for her mom? I was like, because the angel is a daughter, right? So it's like for her mom. And then she goes, wow. She's like, she's supposed to go see her mom on Monday. So, which is actually this upcoming Monday. So hopefully, if people can get in communication with her mom and let her know. But there's also something with records, which I think might have to do with like the house that she owns, or maybe because we were talking about this last night at work.
Well, we don't gotta put too much of her personal business into the thing.
Well, yeah, but it was just like, I guess, like, well, I'm very big into signs and synchronicities.
Yeah.
So this is also my way of trying to help people understand of how they can put signs and synchronicities into their own lives and see what the universe is always sending us signals, frequencies, messages if we are paying attention. But all the little things, you have to put them together.
Your life sounds like an adventure. Like an adventure. You just closed out with something I was thinking of the whole time, and I'm trying to hold on to the thought to let you go. Signs and synchronicities. The fact that you're always looking for it, the shit sounds so exciting. Like, I don't go through my life that way, but the fact that you're looking for something to connect at every juncture is amazing. It just sounds exciting to me, honestly.
It's so funny that
Like life in any other way almost sounds boring.
you don't understand. Let me just tell you that I'm very intentional, and I don't have it. Like there's a symbol that I'd put on my hand that basically, and I'd put it in henna paste. So henna paste stays for a decent amount of time. But the symbol that I put on the palm of my hand was that so that I see magic every single day. I want to experience magic every day. So with that intention, I realized that's what I'm calling in. I want adventure. I'm a life path number 5. I love adventure. So even if I'm not traveling, which is going to be in my near future on a consistent basis, I am still getting to experience adventure every day, which is what I love. So I was like, I no longer prescribe to that you have to wake up and blah, blah, blah. No, every day, all the things that I do is leads me to some magical gateway of adventure in a healthy way.
Yeah. What do you do to achieve mindfulness? Remember earlier you were talking about it, and I put you on. Well, asked you to hold off. I
Yes.
was gonna say put you on pause. That didn't sound right.
That's okay.
Nah, that's crazy. I didn't put you on pause. I just asked you to hold off.
You asked me to pause my thought,
Yeah,
which is
yeah, yeah.
yes.
Put you on pause sounds crazy though.
The what I had said earlier was me being mindful or meditating or trying to be more in sync with myself at the moment. I close my eyes to see. So I close these eyes so that my third eye can be stronger. So it's like if you think about our senses, right? Someone who is deaf usually, or someone who is blind usually has really good hearing. So closing your these eyes so that your third eye can be more pronounced.
I know that to be true what you're describing, and that can happen to all people. Remember how you were saying before, like you can connect with these things, and I was saying, but I can't. But sometimes you can. I'm taking the long road. So when I was in my motorcycle accident, I couldn't see anything, but I could feel everything, and I could hear very sharply. And there was a person that was there he's my barber. He just ended up being there on a random street. He should not have been there. It was on Labor Day, and he came out, and my body was just like connected to him in a very strange way. It's hard to talk about because some of these experiences, like, they exist outside of things that I understood before. But yeah, it's definitely real. The point I'm trying to make is that it's real. Like I can almost still hear, like, kind of like the tone and texture of his voice as he's talking.
Tone and texture. Like, do you, how, I don't know, that was like so profound of talking about texture in sound. Do you know, like the details of that, if you're talking about texture in sound, is, whew,
Yeah, interesting. Like I could hear it, but I could feel it too.
yeah,
And I
no.
couldn't see anything. I couldn't. I don't even recall hearing any other voice. And there were several people there. I'm sure everyone was talking, but his was the only voice that I could hear. The only voice that I remember. And I know people were talking. They had to have been because they're watching a man laying on the ground, struggling.
But you knew him, so your spirit felt safe.
Yeah, definitely that part because he was telling me I was okay. And I believed him. And I believed him based on the way his voice sounded. Like, that's how I knew. It was almost like I could determine that he wasn't lying. I felt like I would have known if he was lying based on the way his voice felt. Like I could detect if there was uncertainty in what he was saying. And there wasn't. And I knew I was cool. Interesting, right?
Yeah, no, even just you saying the way his voice felt. You know what I'm saying? Like it
Yeah.
just like how deep of how profound our senses can be
Mm-hmm.
when we really are allow ourselves to explore the of like that avenue.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
It's like superpowers are in us, but unlocking them is challenging, maybe. Or maybe not challenging. Maybe we just don't try hard enough to unlock them. Like I'm sure there's probably some way that I could achieve that state without getting in a motorcycle accident, but I've never tried to do it, but there has to be a way. Don't you think?
Well, yeah. So,
I mean, deaf people do it, so there's a way.
yeah, 1,000%. When people give themselves
I'm
excuses.
sorry, I said deaf, but I meant blind people.
Yeah, I mean, say, at the end of the
Yeah.
day, that is something. If they're deaf, they're usually something else. And even when we think about autism, where people, yeah, they will not have social norms or whatever of some sort of whatever we want to call them, social etiquettes anyway. But they have other superpowers in some other way, shape, or form where they are like a savant in some area, shape, or form. And people have to get over this idea that there is a perfect person. So it's like, yeah, where someone lacks in this way, they can really be powerful in this way. And when we really understand ourselves, we can turn even our negatives into superpowers as well when we understand and are able to develop them. When we are more self-aware, whatever it is that we are lacking, we can work on it and grow that.
Yeah, absolutely. So how did I interrupt you from explaining how you achieve mindfulness? I think you were on the road to explaining it, but I had to intervene and tell that story real quick. Do you
Well, I
recall?
guess like mindfulness in general for me is just being present in the very moment. And when I speak, I'm also when I speak in my presence, I'm also speaking in my future. When I'm being intentional about creating my future presently. So I don't say, like, let's just say there's something that I need, but there's something, let's just say I need to get this for my car. I need four new tires, but I don't have enough money for the tires at the moment. I'm not going to say I don't have enough money for the tires. I will say I am currently working on on creating more income to purchase new tires for my vehicle. I'm not going to speak that I don't have enough money,
Yeah.
because that is then creating that future of not of continuing to not have enough money. So we have to presently speak about our future in order to manifest exactly what we want.
Yeah, I feel like I've only ever been able to achieve mindfulness, as you explained earlier, when I close my eyes. I don't know what that is, but it's just something that I haven't been able to do with my eyes open. I don't know if I need the silence, the stillness, the peace, whatever it is, but like I feel very mindful in meditations. This was the first time I've ever experienced any mindfulness was during a meditation that someone was walking me through, and I was able to see different different things that I just don't think I would be able to see if I were just like sitting here trying to visualize it with my eyes open. And in the cold bath as well. That's another time that I feel extremely mindful, and I think it's because you recognize that you're there because you can't be anywhere else based on the environment. You know what I mean? And in the beginning stages of it, you recognize it. And then after, once you sit into it, you can then shift your mind to another place. But in the beginning, it's just cold and you have to work your mind into how to dealing with that. So you're just extremely present in a way that you probably aren't in a lot of other places. I guess because the environment. It'll be like being outside in a snowstorm. Like you're present because you're freezing your ass off and it's cold.
And yeah, you said that, and I was going to ask you about that. So you already spoke on it. But also, what about when you're working out?
I feel the least present then. My mind's all over the place when I'm working out.
But okay, so do you, but isn't that exploring, right? You are still being presently thinking about all of the things, right?
Yeah,
But I think that sometimes we put this expectation of what being present or being mindful has to be, this like Zen Om
yeah,
kind of experience, where sometimes you are watching a movie, right? And someone was talking about this recently, and I loved it. And it was like, so you're watching a movie in your mind, And there's all of these thoughts of, I got to do laundry, I got to do this, I have to do this afterwards, blah, blah, blah. And then it's just like, okay, push that away. Okay, that's a thought. That's a thought. And then something profound will pop, and you're like, ooh, I like this. I'm going to hold on to this because that's like an upload from higher self.
Yeah.
Whereas all the other stuff, I'm just like, yep, we'll get to the laundry, we'll get to that, but this is what I really want to explore. Give me more of that.
Yeah. See how you just closed your eyes there, but you had to close your eyes to go somewhere, right? Like, isn't it kind of harder to do with your eyes open? To go, because what you described is good. There's like levels to presence. Like, I can be present when I'm walking around with my son. I feel that there's presence, and then presence in the cold bath is just it's just a different. This is a different type of presence. I'd have to explore it a little bit more to really understand it.
Okay. Well, I mean, so eyes open, doing shadow work, right? Um, Being present in the, oh my gosh, so that vacuuming that's going on in the background is so annoying
That's taking you
in
away.
this present moment. It also made me realize, and I'm only saying that because it was just like, hey, don't forget that you told yourself when you get home you're going to vacuum your space,
Look
you
at you,
know?
signs and synchronicities. Look at you, signs everywhere.
So being able to recognize that's annoying me because one, I don't enjoy vacuuming. That is definitely not on my like priority list of things to do. But it is something that I need to do because it is also when I get home where the things that I need to do, that is also going to help me declutter my mind when my space is even more clean, is clean. So even being present in that, that is going to be also a way of when I'm vacuuming, right? I can allow myself to be mindful and have that be like kind of a meditation of, I don't need to put music on. It'll just be a humming that'll just be in the background as I'm vacuuming. Eyes will be open because I don't want to vacuum into walls. I don't want to break the machine.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that use that exercise for that. My mom's one of them.
Yeah, exercising, cleaning, we can do it in so many different ways. It doesn't have to be this moment.
Yeah.
And I think we need to just really take pressure off of ourselves and really explore the different ways that we can be present without having to have this perfect setup of my posture has to be a perfect way and blah 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 and all of these things. It's like, well, then you always feel like you're doing it wrong because you're never going to do it perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely a scale to it, I would say. Yeah, for sure. I think breathing exercises as well help me the most, for sure. Because in the cold bath, when else do I do breathing exercises? Sometimes just if I'm getting mad or if I feel like I'm about to have a panic attack. Before, panic attacks used to get me all the time, but now they don't. I just recognize when they're coming and I just slow it down and I just start breathing. And for the most part, I've controlled them through that. No.
Yeah, a
Thank you.
thousand percent.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no, yeah. Being intentional about breath, and breath work is vital. And even in the spiritual sense of like a Kundalini rising, you are harnessing. So we have all like we have more than seven chakras in our body, but there are seven main chakras. So with that, when we are doing certain breath work, it can take that energy from our root and bring it all the way up through our crown chakra. So you are circulating that energy throughout your body when you are being mindful about breathing. Yeah, no, it's beautiful.
Mindfulness.
Yeah.
We'd like to thank you for tuning in to The Awakened Avoidant. We hope our convo has provided you with insight, inspiration, and healing energy. As you go about your week, let's continue to work together to heal ourselves and our community. Stay safe and continue to spread healing vibes wherever you go. Catch a new episode Wednesday weekly on all platforms.
Strawberry vinaigrette in my fridge. Made it from scratch, that's just what my life is.